he invited his poor ex-wife to humiliate her at his wedding until she arrived with a private convoy and his newborn twins. Chidi wanted the whole town to watch his ex-wife choke on her own poverty. He sent her a wedding invitation with a smile on his face, imagining her walking in wearing a faded gown, ashamed, small, forgotten. He never imagined that when the gates of the hall opened, 3 black SUVs would roll in behind her, and in her arms would be 2 baby boys with his own eyes staring back at him. Welcome back to SM Stories, the home of real, powerful, and emotional life stories. Before we begin today's story, drop a comment and let us know, where are you watching from today? Now sit back, relax, and let's get into today's story. Once upon a time, in the busy town of Obadoke, there lived a man named Chidi. He was 34 years old, tall, sharp-tongued, and hungry for money the way some men are hungry for air. He had grown up with nothing, and he had promised himself that one day everyone who once looked down on him would beg for his attention. By the time he turned 30, he had built a small logistics company that was beginning to make real money, and with that money came a new kind of pride, the kind that forgets where it came from. His wife, Ifeoma, had married him when he had nothing. She was the daughter of a poor tailor, a quiet, hard-working woman with a gap in her teeth when she smiled and calloused hands from years of helping her mother sell akara by the roadside. She loved Chidi before he had a car, before he had a company, before he had anything but promises. For 4 years of their marriage, she stood beside him, cooking on a stove that coughed smoke, mending his only 2 good shirts, praying over his business every single morning before he left the house. But as the money grew, so did his shame of her. "Ifeoma, why do you still talk like a village woman?" he would snap when she mispronounced an English word in front of his new business partners. "Why do you still wear this kind of wrapper when I have told you I can buy you better things?" "Chidi, I am comfortable," she would say softly. Clothes did not build this company. Prayer and patience did. He would hiss and walk away. One evening, after closing a large contract with a shipping firm in Lagos, Chidi came home smelling of expensive cologne and impatience. Ifeoma had prepared his favorite soup, but he barely touched it. "I want to talk to you," he said, dropping his car keys on the table with a sharp clatter. "I am listening," Ifeoma replied, wiping her hands on her apron. "I have grown, Ifeoma. My company is now known in 3 states. I sit in meetings with men who have wives that can speak in 3 languages, wives who know which fork to use, wives who make me proud when I introduce them. And what do I have? A wife who still smells like frying oil." Ifeoma's chest tightened, but she kept her voice calm. "I smell like frying oil because I am still in this kitchen cooking for you every day, Chidi. Is that now a crime?" "It is not about the kitchen," he said, his voice rising. "It is about class. It is about image. I am building something big, and you are dragging me down like a stone tied to my leg. My mother has been telling me for 2 years that I need a wife who matches my level now, not the level I used to be. So because you have money now, I am suddenly beneath you." Ifeoma's eyes filled with tears. "Have you forgotten who sold her wrapper so you could buy diesel for your first truck? Have you forgotten who fasted for 3 days when your first contract almost collapsed?" "That was then," Chidi said coldly. "This is now. I need a woman who can stand beside me at galas, not one who will embarrass me in front of investors." "I have never embarrassed you," she whispered. "You embarrass me every time you open your mouth," he shot back. "I am done, Ifeoma. Tomorrow, pack your things. I have already found a place for you to stay small until you sort yourself out. This marriage is over." Ifeoma stared at him as though the ground had opened beneath her feet. "Chidi, we made vows. 4 years, and it is like this. Like I am an old shirt you are throwing away because you found a new one in the market. Call it whatever you want," he said, turning his back to her. "I have made up my mind." That night, Ifeoma packed one small bag. She did not fight, she did not scream, she did not beg the way her heart wanted her to. She simply folded her clothes, her Bible, and a photograph of her late mother and walked out into the dark street with nowhere to go but her cousin Nkechi's small apartment across town. What Chidi did not know, what Ifeoma herself had not confirmed until 3 weeks later, was that she was carrying his children. Nkechi welcomed her with open arms and a heavy heart. "That man has swallowed pride until it has finished his brain," she said, helping Ifeoma settle into the tiny spare room. "Stay here as long as you need. This house is yours too." For days, Ifeoma barely spoke. She sat by the window, replaying the years she had given to a man who discarded her the moment she stopped being useful to his image. It was Nkechi who noticed the changes first, the tiredness, the sudden dislike for the smell of fried plantain, the way Ifeoma's hand kept drifting to her stomach without her realizing it. "Ifeoma," Nkechi said one morning, watching her friend push away a plate of food, "when last did you see your period?" Ifeoma froze. She counted the weeks in her head, and her breath caught in her throat. At the hospital 2 days later, the doctor smiled as he turned the small screen toward her. "Congratulations, madam. You are carrying twins." Ifeoma covered her mouth, tears sliding down her face. But they were not only tears of joy. They were tears of fear, too. She was jobless, homeless in every real sense, carrying 2 lives inside her, and the father of those children had already closed the door on her forever. "Are you going to tell him?" Nkechi asked on the walk home. Ifeoma shook her head slowly. "He made it clear I was a stone tied to his leg. I will not hand him a reason to feel trapped again. These children are mine. If God wants him to know, God will show him in his own time." She never called Chidi. She never sent a message. She disappeared from his world completely, the way a name disappears from a page once it is erased. The months that followed tested every ounce of strength Ifeoma had. Nkechi worked as a seamstress, and Ifeoma, remembering the years she had spent helping her own mother, began sewing alongside her, cutting fabric with a swollen belly, threading needles between naps and nausea. When customers complimented her neat stitching, something inside her began to heal. On a rainy Thursday night, Ifeoma gave birth to 2 healthy baby boys. She named them Kamzi and Kelechi, meaning, "Let it be as God wills and thank God," because despite everything, she knew her story was not finished. The twins grew fast, with round cheeks and their father's sharp eyes, though Ifeoma tried not to notice the resemblance too closely. Raising them alone was not easy. There were nights she had no money for formula and had to trade a finished dress early just to buy milk. There were days exhaustion pressed so heavily on her chest, she wondered if she could keep going. But every morning, she woke up, strapped one twin to her back, held the other in her arms, and kept sewing. Word began to spread about the quiet woman with the gentle hands who could turn any old fabric into something beautiful. Her small corner stall grew into a proper shop. A shop grew into 2. Within 4 years, Ifeoma Couture had become one of the most requested tailoring houses in Obidoke, known for elegant, understated designs worn by market women and minor celebrities alike. It was during this time that she met Obinna, a soft-spoken civil engineer who came to her shop to pick up his sister's wedding gown. He was patient with the twins when they tugged at his trousers. and patient with Ifeoma when she was slow to trust again. "You don't have to explain your past to me," he told her one evening as they sat outside her shop watching the twins chase a football. "I only care about the woman sitting in front of me now." "That woman almost broke," Ifeoma admitted. "But she didn't," Obinna said gently. "Look at what she built instead." They married quietly 2 years later, a small ceremony with people who mattered, not people who needed impressing. Meanwhile, across town, Chidi's life had taken its own turns. His logistics company had grown even bigger, but the class he had been chasing never seemed to satisfy him. He dated a string of women, each one polished, each one photographed beside him at events, but none of them stayed long. His mother, growing impatient, finally arranged an introduction to a young woman named Adeze, the daughter of a wealthy hotelier, fluent in 3 languages, trained abroad, exactly the kind of wife Chidi believed he deserved. Adeze was ambitious and image-conscious in her own right, and within months, they were engaged. Chidi threw himself into planning the loudest, most extravagant wedding Obidok had ever seen. A private hall, imported flowers, a live band flown in from Accra, and a guest list designed to remind everyone exactly how far he had climbed. Somewhere in the middle of the planning, a bitter, petty thought took root in his chest. He remembered Ifeoma. He remembered how she had vanished quietly instead of fighting him, how she had never once called to beg him to take her back. Some small, ugly part of him wanted her to see what she had lost. He wanted her to walk into that hall in whatever tattered wrapper she still owned and watch him marry a woman worthy of his success. "Add one more name to the list," he told his wedding planner, scribbling on a card himself. "Who is this?" the planner asked, reading the unfamiliar name. "My ex-wife," Chidi said, smiling coldly. "Send it to her old cousin's address. I want her here, front row, so she sees everything clearly." His friend Kelechi, who had known him since secondary school, frowned when he heard about it. "Chidi, why would you invite the woman you threw out to watch you marry someone else? That is wickedness, my brother." "It is closure," Chidi said, waving him off. "Let her see that leaving her was the best decision I ever made." Kelechi shook his head but said nothing more. The invitation reached Ifeoma on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon while she was fitting a client's dress. Nkechi, who still worked beside her, read the card and nearly tore it in half out of fury. "This man has no shame," Nkechi hissed. "After everything, he wants you to come and watch him marry someone new? Ifeoma, throw this away." Ifeoma studied the card in silence, her thumb tracing the gold lettering. Something calm and unshaken settled over her face. "I will go," she said quietly. "You will what?" "I will go," Ifeoma repeated. "Not to beg, not to cry. I will go so that man finally sees the truth with his own eyes." Nkechi's mouth fell open, and then slowly, a grin spread across her face. "You mean?" "I mean he is about to meet his sons," Ifeoma said. The plan came together over the following weeks. Ifeoma had long ago been introduced to a private hire company through one of her wealthier clients, and she booked 3 vehicles for the day, not for show. But because her shop's success had genuinely grown that large, and her family, her real family now, deserved to arrive together with dignity. She had a seamstress's eye for exactly what to wear, a deep emerald gown tailored by her own hands, elegant without shouting for attention. For the twins, she made matching cream outfits with tiny bow ties, the kind of outfit only a mother who sews for a living could create. The night before the wedding, Obinna held her hand as she sat quietly by the window. "You don't have to prove anything to him," he said. "I know," Ifeoma answered. "This is not for him. This is for the woman who once believed she was worthless. I owe her this." Obinna kissed her forehead. "Then I will be right there with you." The wedding morning arrived with all the noise Obidoke could offer. Cameras lined the entrance of the grand hall. Local bloggers live-streamed the arrival of guests in sequined gowns and tailored agbadas. Inside, Chidi stood at the altar in a cream and gold outfit, checking his watch every few minutes, waiting for one particular guest. Adizi stood in the bridal suite, radiant in white lace, unaware of the storm quietly approaching the hall. Then, outside, 3 black SUVs rolled to a stop before the entrance. The first door opened, and Obinna stepped out, straightening his jacket before turning to help his wife down. Ifeoma emerged in her emerald gown, calm and graceful, her presence immediately drawing eyes. Behind her, 2 small boys climbed out of the second vehicle, dressed in matching cream suits, holding hands, their sharp eyes and familiar jawlines catching the light. The hall's chatter died into a slow, spreading silence. "Who is that?" someone whispered near the back. "Is that not Chidi's first wife? Since when does she move like that? Look at those children." Word rippled through the crowd faster than the wind. Kelechi, standing near the altar, turned pale as he watched Ifeoma walk gracefully down the aisle, her sons on either side of her, their small hands in hers. Chidi's breath caught in his throat. For a moment, he told himself it was a coincidence, some cruel trick of imagination. But as the boys came closer, their faces became impossible to deny. They looked exactly like the photographs of himself as a child that his mother kept in an old album at home. "Chidi," Kelechi muttered under his breath. "Those are your children." Chidi could not move. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Ifeoma reached the front row, exactly where the seat had been reserved for her, and sat down with quiet composure, lifting one twin onto her lap while the other leaned comfortably against her side. She did not look triumphant. She did not look bitter. She simply looked whole. Adiz, stepping out for her entrance moments later, noticed immediately that something was wrong. The hall was too quiet, the air too heavy. She scanned the crowd until her eyes landed on the woman in emerald and the 2 boys beside her. "Chidi," she whispered as she reached the altar, "who is that woman? Why does everyone look like they have seen a ghost?" "That is Ifeoma," Chidi said, his voice barely above a whisper. "My ex-wife. And the children?" Chidi said nothing. Adizi's eyes narrowed. "Chidi, answer me. Whose children are those?" The pastor cleared his throat awkwardly, unsure whether to proceed. Chidi's silence stretched painfully long, and in that silence, the entire hall understood the truth before he ever confirmed it. "They are mine," Chidi finally admitted, so quietly that only those closest to him heard, but it was enough. The words spread through the crowd like fire through dry grass. Adiz stepped back from him, her veil trembling. "You told me you had no children. You told me your first marriage failed because she could not settle down, that she was flighty and irresponsible. You made her sound like a woman who ran from responsibility." "Adiz, please, let me explain." "There is nothing to explain," she said, her voice rising, filling the hall. "You threw away a woman who was carrying your children, and you had the nerve to invite her here to shame her. You wanted her to walk in here broken so you could feel like a big man." She looked past him toward Ifeoma. "Ma, I am so sorry. I did not know." Ifeoma inclined her head calmly. "You have nothing to apologize for." A daisy turned back to Chidi, tears now sliding down her cheeks, more from anger than sorrow. "I cannot marry a man who discards people the way he discards old furniture. What happens to me the day I am no longer convenient for your image?" She unpinned her veil, letting it fall to the floor. "Find yourself first, Chidi. I refuse to be your next mistake." She turned and walked out of the hall, her train dragging behind her, her bridesmaids hurrying after her in stunned silence. The hall buzzed with whispers, with phones raised, with disbelief written across every face. Chidi stood frozen at the altar, his carefully built world collapsing in front of hundreds of witnesses. Ifeoma rose slowly, gathering her son's hands in hers. She did not gloat. She did not raise her voice. She simply walked toward the exit with the same calm grace she had entered with, Obinna falling into step beside her. "Ifeoma, wait," Chidi called out, stumbling down from the altar. "Please, just let me talk to you." She paused at the door and turned to face him, the twins looking up curiously between their parents. "You invited me here to watch me suffer, Chidi. Instead, you watched the truth stand up and speak for itself. There is nothing left to talk about today." She walked out into the sunlight, and the black SUVs pulled away, leaving behind a hall full of murmurs and a groom with no bride. In the weeks that followed, Chidi's world unraveled piece by piece. Clips from the wedding spread across every corner of social media: the arrival, Adiezi's confrontation, his own stunned silence. Business partners who valued reputation as much as profit began distancing themselves. His mother, who had pushed him toward image over integrity for years, finally sat him down with tired eyes. "I taught you to chase appearances," she admitted quietly. "I never taught you to hold on to what mattered. Look what it has cost you." Chidi eventually found his way to Ifeoma's shop one quiet evening, humbled, his shoulders no longer carrying the same proud tilt. He did not ask to be let back into her life. He asked only to know his sons, to earn, slowly and patiently, a place in their world if she would allow it. Ifeoma watched him for a long moment before answering. "I am not the same woman who once shrank herself to fit your idea of respectable. I have built a life you cannot shrink again, but these boys deserve to know where half of their story comes from. We will take it slowly, Chidi, for their sake, not yours." It was not the reunion he had once imagined, and it was not the humiliation he had once planned either. It was simply the truth, arriving exactly as it always does, quietly, completely, and impossible to outrun. Ifeoma went home that evening to a house filled with laughter, her sons racing each other across the compound, Obinna waiting at the door with a warm smile and dinner already on the table. She had walked into that grand hall, carrying nothing but her children and her dignity, and she had walked out with both fully intact. She was no longer the poor wife anyone could discard. She was a mother, a businesswoman, a woman who had rebuilt herself from nothing, and this time, no one would ever make her feel small again.